Why do engines have to be so heavy? It has been an age since I uploaded a YouTube video. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. There's just so much going on in my life, and I wish I could just sit here and explain it all, but I don't want to throw off the pace of this video. So I'm gonna include a bit at the end of today's upload, but for now I just want to jump into what we're doing because a bunch of things have come up in the last 10 months. And even though I haven't been uploading videos, I've been kind of preparing for this storm of all these car parts to show up like you guys just saw. Just to give you guys a quick rundown, the Protege has finally taken a crap on me. It's misfiring really bad. There's a ton of oil in cylinder 2, and it's just it's on its last leg. I'm really glad it didn't strand me somewhere on the highway, but this is kind of just the second worst case scenario. In the background, I have been getting these components for the new engine machined, as you guys would have seen about a year ago when I was working on this. So we have a new block that's been bored out, so we went with size up pistons. It's been painted, and then the crank has been machined. We have new pistons, connecting rods, bearings, and rings, and all that good stuff. And then the engine head I'm getting back from the machine shop tomorrow. So that will probably come in a later video, but today's video I just wanted to focus on getting the crank set and potentially putting the pistons in as well. I've never rebuilt an engine, so this is a lot of new stuff for me. I'm pretty nervous, but I have everything ready to go, and I talked to the machinist extensively. He gave me a ton of tips, and I watched some classic DIY YouTube videos and whatnot. It's been so long since I've worked on this project that I don't even remember where the bolts went. I didn't keep anything organized. I'm pretty sure they're all in that little plastic bag down there. For starters, I'm gonna get this engine block on the engine stand, but I don't have bell housing bolts, so I'm just gonna dig through that bag. Hopefully I can find something that fits or is close enough. I think they're all in here, but I just don't remember. It's been so long. Right then, so this is the part where Kaidan does the things that he says he's gonna do. I'm a little bit nervous, but I mean, everything is here. Everything's all laid out, and I've also written down my steps on the whiteboard, so I can't screw this up as long as I don't just overlook something really important. Am I in the frame? Just barely. So I have all the plastic gauge sitting on the lobes of the crankshaft, so the next step is to put the caps back on and torque everything down and then remove them and check the plastic gauge. So I now have everything torqued down with the plastic gauge underneath the bearing caps. The torque spec called for 13 foot-pounds and then 16 and then plus 90 degrees on each of them. And unfortunately I don't have one of those dial indicator wrenches. So what I did was I just used my breaker bar socket wrench thing. I lined up the wrench with the bearing cap, and then I just rotated it until I was in line with this next row of bolts. I know that's not perfect, but that's the best I can do. And I think it'll be okay. Watch this thing blow up. I don't know. I have no idea. Hopefully that's good enough. Okay, so I'm gonna try my best to show you guys how this works. So you can see there's some little tick marks on the side, and they have different measurements. We're doing ours in inches because that's what our spec sheet has it in. Actually, I think this has millimeters too. Yeah, we could use a millimeter, but if we go down here to the main journal, we can see that the oil clearance says 0.0009 all the way to 0.002, right? So we need to be within that range. If you were to step on a piece of gum, right, and you squish that piece of gum, it's gonna expand left and right. So the harder you step on the piece of gum, the further it's gonna expand to the left and right. That's basically what plastic gauge is doing. So if you look at these marks on here, you can kind of see it. This is gonna be really hard for me to show because it's a little bit hard for me to see even, so on camera, it's gonna be difficult. Maybe manual focus. Oh, yes, okay. You can kind of see the mark right there. If we go to our measurement, we know that we can't be any larger than 0.002. That means that the strip of plastic gauge should be at least the size of the 0.002 mark, if not bigger. Because as you can see, like getting bigger is actually a smaller clearance. And that makes sense because that means that the journal bearing would have been pressed down harder. So if we come on here, or actually you can see this one a little better. So you can see, ooh, that one's actually pretty close, but our mark is slightly bigger. So that means that we are within tolerance on this one. Check another one. This is so difficult. Anyway, you can kind of see it there. We are within tolerance, and I already checked them off camera. Like, we're within tolerance on all of the lobes. So that means that we're good to go. We can wipe all that off, and we can use assembly lube and install this for good. Yes, it worked, I think. What the hell do I do now? All right, so for my next act, I'll be getting these pistons installed in the block. So I have 4 brand new pistons and rods sitting over here. I had to do a little bit of digging because I wasn't sure exactly how they get oriented, but I figured it out. So with this branded piston, they have an F printed on them. I don't know if that's like a standard thing or not, but the F gets lined up with the exhaust side. So the exhaust valves will be on the right if you're looking at the front of the engine, which has the crank snout sticking out. So the F is gonna go like this. So all these pistons need to be in this orientation. The next thing we gotta do is figure out our piston ring gaps. Because these pistons are not standard pistons, they are plus 20 thou, which basically just means that the diameter is a little bit bigger. So this block has been bored out, and then these pistons fit in there just right. Well, near about. They have a little bit of wiggle room, and that wiggle room gets accommodated by the piston rings. So I've been given the formula for calculating what our clearances need to be because this engine is going to be turbocharged. So we need to make sure that we have the proper ring gaps so that way they can expand just enough and we don't stick a piston or anything crazy like that. So we're going to be using this little ring grinder that I got on Amazon. Who knows how well that's going to work. We'll see how that goes. And then lastly, we have the little ring wrench thing so that you don't want to like spiral them on. You want to use the little separating tool to put them on, and then just some cheap piston ring compressor. I've been told I need to be very careful when using these and make sure that you put a lot of pressure down on top of the blocks. That way the ring doesn't slip out of the gap and you could break it. So yeah, gonna be taking care with that, but we should be good to go. So I consulted the machinist today and he gave me this list of equations. So I basically told him this engine's gonna be turbocharged, and then he pulled out some handbook and flipped to some magical page and then spit this out onto a little sticky note, which I then translated onto our whiteboard here. So he said, for the first ring, we're going to do the bore times 0.0045. I guess that's the magic boosty number. And then for our second ring, we're going to do the bore times 0.0035. And then he said for the oil ring, he's just said minimum of 0.015. So to figure out the bore, we took the number from like the data sheet here. So it says for this engine, the bore was 3.2677. But since we've sized up our pistons, we need to add 20 thou to that. And so our bore is going to be 3.2877. So we need to multiply 3.2877 by each of these numbers to get the gap for each ring. I hope that made sense. That was a lot all at once. I'm just using these equations here, but you should definitely consult a machinist if you're doing this, because I don't know, like it's literally just from the magic sticky note. So do with that what you will. I've run into a slight dilemma, and I think it's just my engineering brain having a tantrum, because I like when things are really accurate, and this is probably just gonna end up not being very accurate. But after I plugged in the numbers, I got 0.01479. So that in my brain is gonna round up to 0.015, but I don't wanna be rounding this stuff if it I just don't, does it need to be that precise? I mean, and the tolerance on these feeler gauges are not going to be that accurate, but what I don't know is should I round it down even though it's 1479? That makes me think oh, just use 0.015, but what if 0.015 is too high? I don't know. Similarly on the second one is 0.0115, so that 15 is going to round up to 0.012, But if I use 0.012, is that too high? Should I, like, I don't know if it's better to be slightly lower on the piston ring gap just to make sure you have no blow-by, or if it's better to be as close as possible. And now that one just, of course, it's right dead center, right? I mean, I guess technically it's slightly higher because you have that 0.6, so it would be higher than the 5, so I should go to 0.02. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Like, what if I it's probably fine either way. And how accurate do you think these feeler gauges are? Like, I wonder what the tolerance is on these. It's probably not great, especially considering that they came out of this. Like, what the... I don't know. I really hope that I don't totally ruin this. It's probably fine. I'm probably overthinking it. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. I just set a piston in an engine for the first time in my life. Like, I don't know why. This probably seems insignificant in the video, but like, I was so stressed about that. And then once I had all these components sitting here, it just made sense. Like, nothing was really confusing. The layout of the piston made sense. Is like, the orientation wasn't difficult. Everything went in smoothly. And I knew what to look for, I guess, because I've been watching videos for like hours trying to learn how to do this. But yeah. Okay, so all 4 pistons are set into the block now. I didn't have any issues with the rings. I just, like, once the piston got pretty low, I just kind of gave it a good tap to make sure all the rings went in smooth. So now I'm going to flip it back over and do the same thing that I did with the main bearings, except do it for the rod bearings. Also, to save a little bit of time on camera, I'm going to go ahead and do the plastic gauge part off camera. It's the same exact steps as before, but I'm just going to be a little extra careful to make sure that the crankshaft doesn't rotate when I'm putting the connecting rods on dry, because obviously we want it to be lubricated if it's going to spin, and that would mess up the plastic gauge. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll just get back with you guys when I'm doing the connecting rod final assembly. All right, so the plastic gauge did its job. Everything is within tolerance, just as I suspected, because the machinist did measure it all before I got these parts, so I wasn't expecting them to be out of tolerance, but it's always good to check. So I've got the bearings down on there and on the caps. So I'm gonna get some assembly lube on these down in here. It's gonna be kind of a pain, I think, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then we'll just kind of finagle the journals back onto the lobes. And yeah, I guess we're almost done then. Like, what else for the bottom end rebuild? I think we're just about there. Yes. That's so sick. Alright, so it's about 11 o'clock. I've got this just covered up in plastic for now because I want it to stay clean. When I get the head back, then I'll be able to continue on building the engine, I suppose. But I have some other things in the meantime I'm going to do, like I have to clean up the intake manifold and just random stuff like that. I have not had dinner. I'm starving, so tonight we're having ramen noodles, a classic, the college gourmet meal. I'm also just running out of money. I have 3 months left until I graduate, and I have budgeted so that I have enough money to finish the Protege build and get all my stuff moved out of Corvallis and have enough to pay the rent and the utilities. And there should be enough for food, but it's not going to be pretty. We're going to be having canned soup and ramen because that's my life right now. Since I'm just waiting for water to boil, I suppose I can show you guys what's to come here soon. So over in this corner we have a bunch of parts. That head needs to go to the trash because it is junk. But no, not that box. Although this has the freeze plugs. I have to put those in. And then, but this is the good stuff over here. So we have this is an OEM Garrett turbo from a Mazda Speed Protege. I also have the OEM oil cooler down there. I was thinking about maybe doing like a air to oil heat exchanger on the front, but I don't know if we'll have time. I might run that one just for the time being. I believe this is an AEM cold air intake. And then I have like the Mazda Speed shifter boot cover. Might use that. There's a heat shield down there. So as I mentioned earlier, like this car is getting turbocharged. I also have some other parts in the garage. Yeah, so amidst the pile of Mazda Protege engine parts, we have the turbo manifold, and then this is the downpipe I'm going to need to use. And I think I can probably reuse this wastegate. It's a forged wastegate, but this turbo itself is junk. This is just like some Chinese turbo, and there's like a ton of play. It's like a comical amount. Yeah, no, this turbo is garbage, but the other one that's inside the house is actually a really nice turbo, so we won't be using this one. I have this intake manifold here, but this one is really gross. There's one in that black plastic bag over there. It's a bit cleaner, so I think I'm gonna use that one, but if there's any sort of issue, I have a ton of extra components here. This fuel rail is also disgusting, but you know, I have stuff to go around, several valve covers, things like that. So I've been trying to think of how to format this part of the video, and like the longer I go without uploading, the harder it becomes because the list of things that happened in that time just continue to increase. I guess I'm just gonna give you guys like a play-by-play. The short story is that like I'm just busy with school, but I mean, as you guys know, I've uploaded videos during school before, and like it's never been this long without a video, and it's because there was a bunch of other crap that happened. I had a girlfriend, and you guys would have seen her in the videos. I'm not gonna say her name just for privacy. If you really want to know her name, you could go watch the videos, but just please like respect like her privacy, you know. Well, we split up right after my last upload pretty much, and that was definitely hard on me because she's in my degree program at school, so like we had a lot of classes together, and like it was hard for me to sort of like move on from that. I didn't really feel like myself for a while, and then that summer last summer I was taking heat transfer at the time, so I just focused on school and I just wasn't really doing anything fun. I was just always in office hours, you know, and luckily heat transfer was really fun. I really enjoyed that class. So that was hard. But then there was some serious roommate drama that went down. So like, as you can see, we don't have furniture in my house. I'm not gonna say names because these are real people, and like stuff just went down and like caught me by surprise. Luckily I didn't do anything to anyone. It was a hard thing to go through. So like my rent got more expensive, and I was just trying to balance a lot of things and figure out who was gonna live here, and somebody who was gonna move in ended up not, and we don't have furniture because of that. So that was a really stressful thing to figure out. I was just so nervous at the time because I was like, am I gonna have to move? What do I do with my cars if I have to leave? I still had 1 year left of school. Like there was just so much going on. And on top of that, I lost a lot of my financial aid for school. So if those of you that aren't familiar with like the way that FAFSA in college works, it's based on your parents' income. And this last year, my dad started doing better for himself. He's making a bit more money than he used to, which, you know, I'm very happy for my dad. Like that's amazing. But the US government looked at that and they were like, hey, so your dad makes X amount of money, so your family's new expected contribution to your education is like $10,000. And so even though I still had 2 more years on the Pell Grant because I had qualified for that previously, they just yanked it. They just took it all completely away. I went from 100% to 0, even though I still, like, it didn't expire yet. And I'm fortunate that I'm even able to go to college. This is a very like first world problem thing. My family's not made of money. I'm not entitled to my parents' money. Like just because my dad makes more money now doesn't mean that he has $10,000 to just hand me for school. I get why the system is set up like that, but it was definitely a hard thing to deal with because, you know, I lost a lot of funding. And then on top of that, this was my 5th year at Oregon State because I, like during COVID, I went pretty slow. And then my freshman year, I wasn't studying mechanical engineering for the first couple terms and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just hate that I got so punished for that because since this was my 5th year, I lost my primary academic scholarship because that one was only for 4 years. I still had a couple other smaller ones that continued on because I qualified for them later in my education experience, but I lost a big chunk of my funding. So because of that, I had to work quite a bit. So I became a TA for Intro to Thermodynamics, and I did that for the last 2 terms. So I did that fall and winter term. I'm not doing it spring term because I worked a bunch and I saved up a bunch of money, and I've been planning to fix the cars, because I have to get the Protege functional again so that way I can drive it to work, hopefully, if I get a job. And there were so many moving pieces with that. Trying to make YouTube videos while working and doing full-time classes is just a lot. And then fall and winter term, I did my senior design project. So it was a 6-month-long group project. That was a lot of fun. I made a lot of good friends during that time. I'm not saying like, oh, my senior design project took all my time, because I wanted to put my work into it, but I was just spread really thin between working and these big group projects that I had. And so I just wasn't working on cars. That's basically everything. And it felt really good this last week to like pick up the camera again and start making videos, because I just feel like I haven't really been doing my thing for a while now, and it sucks. The channel has continued to grow in the time that I've been gone, so I appreciate any new faces and new subscribers. My goal is to keep uploading videos as much as possible, and now that I've gotten all these group projects, my senior design project, things behind me, I'm looking forward now to like getting a job and moving out of Corvallis, because like, dude, this town just, if you don't want to go to the bars and go get fucked up at parties, there is nothing to do in this town. It was fun for a while, but I'm pretty burnt out on it. And I would really like to move on with my life and work as an engineer so I can actually afford to do the fun projects and make the cool videos that you guys are seeing, and finish the projects that I've started. And I'm working on it. I have some things planned. I have a turbo sitting over there. So I haven't not been working towards it, but it's just really slow when you're trying to do it during college. Anyway, that was quite a lot. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I'm gonna sit here and enjoy my top ramen, and I'm gonna upload again soon. I don't know exactly when I'm getting the head back. He said he was gonna finish it. He said I should have been able to get it by Friday, which is tomorrow. But then I talked to him today, and he said he wasn't gonna be able to get to it because he had a doctor's appointment thing he had to go to. So it should be next week sometime that I get the head back. But I'm probably going to work on something in between, just because that's a long time. I'm also moving the Porsche out of Corvallis on Saturday, because I'm moving out of this town entirely in like 3 months, but I need to stage some of my stuff back to like my parents' place, because I can't just do it all at once. It's going to be really difficult to do that. So we've decided, like, now that it's spring break, I'm just going to move some of the things I'm not going to be working on. So you guys won't see an episode about the 944 for a few months, because it's not going to be here at all. I need to just get it out of my way. But once I get the 07K and some of the other parts for the Porsche out of the garage, then I can, pull the Protege in and put the new engine in it, so that way I have a daily driver car. And yeah, you guys get the idea. But we're running out of time here in Corvallis, so we're going to make as many videos as we can, get this engine done. And then I don't know what my life is going to be like after that. I'm moving back to my parents' house for at least 6 months, maybe even longer. I don't know. I have a few prospects for companies that I could potentially work at, but I haven't received an official job offer yet, only unofficial sort of like, yeah, we'd like to hire you, but not yet because you don't graduate till June. So hopefully I'll figure it out. It's a little bit stressful trying to like manage that. But I'm looking forward to this term because I don't have class on Fridays, and hopefully there would be less group projects. I know that one of my courses doesn't have any group projects. It's just all individual. So at most, we're going to have 2 group projects instead of 3 or 4 at the same time. And I'm not doing the TA job anymore. So my time is back. My life is back. No girlfriend, no friends, toxic people gone. I just have me and the camera and these godforsaken cars that are always broken. So I hope you guys are looking forward to more videos. It's going to be a little bit hectic the next few months, but I'm not stopping anytime soon. And I appreciate all the new subscribers and views. Like, you guys have been keeping the channel growing. It's actually like the views have, they've been up. I'll show you guys like my app or whatever. In the last 30 days, there were 38 new subscribers on the channel. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, 38 new subscribers, which is just so awesome to me to see videos that I made years ago that now when I watch them, I'm like, oh my God, that's cringe, right? But you guys still comment on them, and you guys, like, they just draw in more viewers. And so I owe it to you guys to keep this channel going. We're almost to 4,000 subscribers. So I appreciate all you guys for sticking around. And I'm not slowing down anytime soon. Like, we got I have tons of things to make videos about. I've never had a greater abundance of topics to make videos on. It's just been a time and stress issue recently. So anyway, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and I look forward to finishing this engine up. Actually, before I go, I could show you guys this. This is a little thing that I made last term. It's a clock. There we go. Yeah, so it has a little motion sensor on the front. Sometimes it's kind of slow. It's supposed to only take a second, but yeah, it's just never gonna. That is unfortunate. Why can this camera not see it? My phone. Oh, you can kind of see it. Anyway, the screen. So it uses an ESP32, which is just a microcontroller that can connect to the internet. And like at the top of the screen, it says like, depending on what time of day it is, there's a little message. So right now it says good night. So it has the time. And then it shows the temperature and the like the cloud coverage. So right now it says overcast, clouds, and rain. So yeah, just a cool thing that I learned how to do because I'm a mechanical engineer now. I 3D printed the case. I actually did most of the work on this project just because of the way that things worked out. But yeah, no, just like I'm doing stuff, right? Like just school is, it got really cool, but by the time the coursework got more interesting, my heart was just not in it. Like so much went down in the last year that I was just like, I'm so burnt out. Can we just stop? Like, can I just have my degree, please? Like, as much as I like doing cool stuff like this, and I see why these classes exist because, you know, the engineers gotta get some practice in. I was like, I want to spend my engineering know-how on my own projects. I'm very burnt out on doing this stuff, but I have a few more hoops I gotta jump through. And then I get the whole rest of my life to just use my engineering knowledge for my own stuff. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys soon.